Coming up on NCC News, it looks like beekeepers may be getting the help they need this winter. Find out how Senator Schumer will get involved. For families in the area looking to go camping to have all the amenities at home, it may cost you upwards of $85,000.
And we may be experiencing a lot of snow this winter, but it's the frost that is causing problems with the water pipes in Syracuse. NCC News at 4 o'clock starts now.
Good evening, I'm Gabriella Ornelas.
And I'm Jade Krzeski. The cold weather and snow aren't stopping Central New Yorkers from longing for the warm summer months.
NCC News reporter Ciara Lee will tell us how to make the best of your vacation expenses. Comes our way, families are planning their spring break and summer vacations, but planning a trip always costs a pretty penny. Some Central New Yorkers are trying to save money by camping and heading to the Central New York RV and Camping Show. Our NCC News reporter Ciara Lee is out live with the latest details about the show and how you can have some cash.
Go, Ciara.
Hi guys, I'm here live at the RV and Camping Show at the Syracuse Fairgrounds. It's a pretty popping place right now. There's lots of activities for children to play with, and lots of people are around looking at different RVs, so they're trying to gear up for their spring vacations and summer plans.
Hey, Ciara, talk about your package. Hey,
Yeah?
Ciara, talk about your package. Hey, Ciara, talk about your package.
The
Package is
Central
not
New
real.
York RV spring and camping season may be getting closer, but the weather is not getting any warmer. Temperatures in Syracuse are getting extremely low again, and we could be feeling another polar vortex in the coming days. Our Kevin Clark is live on the weather deck with our first weather forecast, and I know it's been pretty cold out there today, so I hope you're staying warm out there, Kevin.
Well, Jade, I'd tell you that the sun was out earlier today, but I don't think you'd believe me. That's because there's a lot of snow blowing around right now, and it's bitterly cold. 20 degrees right now, 67% humidity in the air, so a lot of moisture in the air. But what's really putting the sting in the air is the winds that are blowing up to 30 miles per hour, and that's just for today. Coming up tonight, it'll be 10 degrees your high, could dip down to 2, and especially with this wind chill, could dip into the negatives with these 20 to 30 mile per hour winds. We could be seeing a lot more of that tonight, but tomorrow it'll get a little bit nicer, but not too much. 15 degrees is a high, 5 degrees for a low. Still heavy with the wind chill, 12 miles per hour. That's the forecast coming up. I'll have your full weekend forecast on the NCC News at 4:45. In the meantime, I was able to speak with a beekeeper because we all feel the effects of the weather, but some businesses are actually feeling it. Beekeepers are one of them. Chuck Schumer introduced, obviously, one part of the Farm Bill that would help beekeepers, and we go to that story right now.
That's what I was telling you about. This is what we keep our bees in.
Mike Martino has kept bees at his Honey Hill orchard for 19 years.
You know, it's been a tough winter.
There are good days and bad days,
Entrance holes in them.
but nothing tests a veteran beekeeper like a long, cold winter.
It's been more difficult to keep on top of things, and sometimes almost to the point of being impossible.
Martino is one of the many farmers feeling the effects of this year's frigid weather.
Sit there and they shiver their wing muscles, and that's how they generate heat to keep themselves warm.
He says honeybees need to keep their hives at a toasty 80 degrees, something that's proving difficult this year.
The colder it gets, the tighter they cluster. So with that being said, that if it gets cold and stays cold for extended periods of time, they'll cluster and sometimes starve to death with food as close as a ½ inch away from them.
This could be tough for Martino, who owns 100 bee colonies and relies on them to make honey. He says he's hoping 60% of his bees make it through the winter.
I have had winters where I've lost 70 to 80% of my colonies. And it's very heart-wrenching at that point. You know, you could sometimes wonder, you know, why do I continue to beat myself up in this manner?
But beekeepers like Martino could get government relief in a new program established by the Farm Bill. The program helps beekeepers with losses of more than 17.5 of their hives. The relief would come in the form of loans and would pay the fair market value for the lost bees.
It's a known fact that you give a farmer $500, he'll spend $5,000 every time.
But Martino won't know his losses until the end of the long winter season. Until then, he waits.
I'm hoping for better days soon. We're hoping for a nice early spring. From one box to the next.
Martino says those warm spring days make it all worth it. In Chittenango, Kevin Clark, NCC News.
Martino says he's not sure if he'll apply for the government aid and that it depends how hard he's hit by the time winter is over.
And the cold winter this winter is causing serious problems for water main systems in the ground. There have been 130 pipe breaks in the Syracuse water system this winter, nearly triple the number the Syracuse Water Department is used to fixing. Officials say that the breaks are not due to the age of the pipes, but to the frost that is covering the ground, and this is the first time the breaks are being caused by frost and not aging pipes.
I don't have a number that we're going to go over, but we have no choice. We have to fix the break.
Although these breaks do not affect the quality of the water fixing them can cause trouble with traffic and commuting when workers dig to reach the pipes underneath the streets.
The Syracuse Common Council has still not agreed on a plan to make a block of streets in downtown smoke-free. Common councilors are waiting to hear from lawyers on how practical the ordinance would be. But one downtown tobacco shop owner has an answer to the councilors' questions. She thinks this ban on smoking is ridiculous.
I think it's a terrible idea because, you know, the smokers have already been shoved outside to smoke. Now what are they supposed to do?
Common councilors are expecting answers from lawyers in the next 2 weeks.
Nutrition labels on food products are getting a new look. Mrs. Obama announced today that food labels will be changed to show how much consumers are actually eating, not what they should be eating.
I don't think everybody will use the food labels, but they don't use them now. I think for those that want to use them, they'll be a little more clear.
On the new labels, calories will be displayed larger and serving sizes will be made more realistic.
For frequent flyers, it's not how far you go, but how much you spend. Delta Airlines is changing its loyalty program so customers will receive frequent flyer miles based on the price of the ticket. This means passengers who pay more for a ticket will earn more miles than a passenger who paid less on the same flight.
I guess 4% of Delta's customers make up 25% of their revenues, so that's who they're going to focus on. You know, the business traveler, the person who travels each and every week, that puts money in their pockets.
Delta is the first airline to restructure its loyalty program this way, but the changes will not start until 2015.
And coming up after the break, Ukraine is becoming a country divided.
And new technology is changing the way we use smartphones. Find out why you may be wearing your phone instead of carrying it in the near future.
While equal rights activists are celebrating in Texas as a federal judge ruled that restrictions against same-sex marriage are unconstitutional. The ruling comes 2 weeks after couples pleaded to the judge to block an amendment banning gay marriage in Texas. The case will now go to the Court of Appeals in New Orleans. We want Hillary. That's what Democrats are saying in a recent poll about 2016 presidential candidates. While Clinton hasn't even said if she'll run in the election, she leads the pack of possible nominees, with 82% of Democrats saying they would vote for her if she did. For now, Clinton is staying quiet. And if you fly often, you know how long the lines can get at security checkpoints, and authorities say they want to change that. The Department of Homeland Security wants a more efficient screening process at airports, and they want it without passengers removing shoes, belts, or jackets. But it could be years before any changes are made. But a change you will see if you fly with American Airlines is in bereavement fares. A spokesperson says that passengers who need to travel last minute due to a death in a family will now have the option to buy changeable and refundable fares. The policy mirrors their merger partners, U.S. Airways, but other airlines currently do not offer lower rates. And in health news, it looks like child obesity rates are lower than they've been in an entire decade. Federal data shows that obesity in children between the ages of 2 and 5 has dropped by more than 40%. The report comes just as the First Lady's Let's Move program to improve kids' health and fitness marks its 4th anniversary. And in an attempt to further promote healthy eating, the FDA plans to update nutrition labels for the first time since they became required. Under the changes that'll take place in 2 years, calorie content, serving sizes, and added sugars will have to be explained more clearly on food labels to help people make better eating choices. And the Ukraine conflict continues, and there appears to be a growing divide among Ukrainians. Dozens of gunmen have seized the regional parliament building in Crimea and raised the Russian flag to show their opposition to new Ukrainian leaders. The incident has raised fears about the opposing allegiances within the country. And in South America, the president of Venezuela has called for a peace conference to bring an end to the violent protests that have been erupting all over the country. President Maduro has invited mayors, governors, and leading lawmakers to sign a deal renouncing the violence. However, crowds continue to barricade cities all across the country. And after Joaquin Guzman, better known as El Chapo, was captured last week, Mexicans are still voicing their support for the leader of the strongest drug cartel in the world. Mexicans took to the street to say that they wanted El Chapo freed. This comes just as he faces numerous charges in Mexico and in the U.S., which plans to seek extradition for him. And a refugee camp in Syria is being described as apocalyptic. More than 18,000 Palestinians have been living under a virtual blockade. The UN has been trying to distribute supplies to the camp, but it says it's not enough to meet the demand. Much of the camp has been destroyed by shellings by Syria's continuing civil war. And while China is known to have serious pollution problems, Japan is seeing similar problems too. Researchers have observed areas of high pollution across the country for several days now, citing low winds and high pressure as a reason why pollutants stayed in the air. Health officials have advised residents to wear masks to go outside. And 215, that's the number of new planets that scientists have discovered this week. Four of these planets are in the habitable zone, which scientists say means they have the potential to support life. The planets were discovered by the Kepler Space Telescope of NASA, and it is the biggest discovery of planets ever made.
The SU basketball team is heading to Maryland this weekend.
Stay with us. We will tell you how the Orange team can extend their winning streak. It's an annual convention that has tech fanatics swooning, and smartphone consumers are hoping they are due for an upgrade on their already outdated phones.
NCC News reporter Caitlin Richards joins us now with all the details on this year's Mobile World Congress.
Mobile World Congress came to an end today in Barcelona, but the week was not without its surprises. From keynote speaker Mark Zuckerberg to Samsung's rollout of the very latest in wearable technology, techies around the world are buzzing about all the reveals in future smartphone technology.
Mobile World Congress. Innovation.
This is the world's first smartphone equipped with a heart rate sensor.
Smartphone innovators like Samsung, Nokia, and LG all gathered in Barcelona this week to show off their newest phone models and set the tone for what will be the next big advancement in smartphone and tablet technology. A week of reveals highlighted one detail in particular. Bigger is always better.
Phones got smaller and smaller and smaller as time went along. Now with all the social media out there, phones continue to get larger and larger. Where screens before were 3 inches, now they're up to 5 and 6 inches. So,
maximized phone screen surfaces have become so important that some phones are now seemingly competing with tablets in functionality. These phablets, as they are now referred to, offer a wider surface from which to read news, answer emails, and even use as a general workspace.
You can do pretty much everything that you want on a tablet and have instant connectivity all the time versus a laptop. A lot of times either having to find a Wi-Fi hotspot or carrying a little mobile jetpack so you can access the internet anytime. So,
not to be shortchanged is speed. Phone companies are working on ways to make phone connectivity faster than ever before to help appease customer demands.
I don't want it to be everywhere. I don't want it to have to go to a Wi-Fi hotspot. I want anywhere in the world I want to be able to use it.
At Mobile World Congress, they talked about making phones faster and more functional, but what they've also discussed is ways to make phones more interactive with other parts of our daily lives.
Samsung, one of the front-runners in wearable tech, used the Mobile World Congress stage to announce an expansion to its Galaxy Gear lineup. Samsung and other smartphone manufacturers are trying to integrate your phone with the way you drive, shop, and even the way you get ready in the morning.
it's hard to say how far it'll go. A phone is a phone. Supposedly there's a toothbrush being developed with some sort of application built into the toothbrush that communicates with your phone. Who knows how far they can go with that stuff.
Tablets and affordable smartphones were also featured at the Mobile World Congress event. All of the phones introduced should be entering stores soon to meet the customer demand. One notable no-show at the event? Apple and their iPhones.
You may want to be cautious to choose your pain relief soon. The Food and Drug Administration has approved a new painkiller called Zohydro last fall, and it will be available in the market in March. But there are more than 40 organizations of consumer, healthcare, and addiction treatment are asking the FDA to revoke the approval because it contains a lot of opioids, which will cause addiction to patients. The president of a responsible group for opioid says it will kill people as soon as it releases. However, both Zohydros make and FDA say the drug's benefits outweigh its risks.
And there's a new method to stop deadly diseases for newborns, but it will also give the babies a third parent. U.S. health officials are deciding whether to approve using 3 people's DNA to try to prevent genetic illnesses that can pass down to the next generation. A medical ethicist says it would be ethical as long as it's safe. New York University medical ethical director is worried that people would ask to change things, such as children's height, body build, or even physique if the experiment is approved. The Food and Drug Administration has not yet made any decisions after multiple discussions.
Still ahead on NCC News at 4:45, Ashley Cesar has even more on Onondaga County's water main troubles.
A new water main breaks somewhere in the city almost every other day, and your property could be next.
The Olympic medalist is coming home today. Erin Hamlin is arriving at the Syracuse Hancock Airport with her luge bronze medal around 4:40 today. Her hometown is already hanging banners to welcome her back. A police escort will follow her from the airport to her hometown, Remsen. There will be a parade for her at 5:30, and it will take place at the intersection of Route 31 and Main Street in Verona and end at Remsen Junior Senior High School.
For Des Wells. And Lehman got a hand on the pass, and he missed the layup. Got it back, and a foul call.
The SU basketball team is going to Maryland to play against the Virginia Cavaliers this weekend. The best national college basketball team is looking for another win to maintain their #1 ranking. SU forward Jeremy Grant was back to practice on Wednesday. He would be a big factor to help the Orange in the game against Virginia.
The Carrier Dome won't be empty after the Orange make their way to Virginia. High school basketball championship games will start this evening and continue until Saturday. The championship games will bring supporters from all over Onondaga County. Cicero North Syracuse High School is one of the teams that will be playing at the Dome this weekend.
The older generation is also very well about supporting us. We get a lot of teachers in there too, and it's just really cool to see everyone come and support us.
Not only is the girls basketball team competing for a championship title, the boys team will also play at the Dome on Saturday. The teams expect a large number of supporters from North Syracuse to cheer them on at the Dome.
A California weatherman had a surprise guest on the show this week.
And the two fought to the death on live TV. Find out how this weatherman reacted to this creepy crawling guest up next.
While this California weatherman was reporting on live TV, a spider landed on his head in the middle of the show. The weatherman noticed the spider on his head and stopped in the middle of reporting the weather to hit the spider from his head. The fight ended with the spooked weatherman finding the spider on the ground. All right, that's all for NCC News at 4 o'clock. I'm Gabrielle Ornelas.
And I'm Jade Krzeski. Thanks for watching.